In the last lesson, we built out the house, and in this lesson, let's add materials and lights. So just to speed things up, I added this little element here. It was a prop, one of these pillar frames. But now we want to add materials to all the pieces in the house. So we could click and drag onto each element separately, but to speed things up, I'm going to just shift select all these and drop this into the materials slot over here in the details palette. So that's great. And then also for these two elements, I'll just do it where we can just click and drag onto the objects themselves. Okay, great. Let's add a few more props to this level. We could add a few pieces of shrubbery. I'm gonna hold down the Alt key and snap. And just drag those over, as well as we could add external lighting and drag that near the wall. But there's a blueprint that also has a wall scone. We're going to do the same thing for the interior. So just nudge that into place. Alt drag. Now, just to speed things up, I'm going to Control G. I'll group those and then duplicate that across. That way I know for sure they're equidistant. And I'm going to do the same thing with the lighting inside. Now, in addition to this, we could add a light, because that's just a spotlight aiming down. That's with there. I'm going to hold L and click. So now that just is going to, for now, give us a little extra light. And maybe we can use this for our light that we're going to use at the top of this. We're going to build a staircase out here. So that is what we're going to turn. We're going to make that yellow, right? So we click on this light color, change the light color to yellow. Now, we also had some chairs inside there. So let's go under props, drag the chair in there, but those chairs also had some physics on them. So with the chair selected and scroll down, turn on simulate physics. We'll rotate that so it's slightly diagonal. Hold on the Alt key to duplicate. Just copy that over. Great. So now let's build out the staircase. Now the staircase I'm going to look at, and I'm going to hit Alt C to see if there's collisions. Now I had to add collisions to this. So you can hit Control B to show it in the browser and double click on it, or if you select it, hit Control E and it takes you right to the correct palette that you're looking at. Now what we're wanting to do is look at simple collision. And if you are just getting started, you won't see this because it doesn't by default have collision. So we'll talk about how to deal with different collision properties in a further tutorial, but for now, just go to collision, say add or auto convex collision, and then go over here and hit apply. And you should get something that looks like this. So once that's done, now we can duplicate this up, drag it in. I'm going to hit F to follow it or rotate it into place. Now I'm going to make sure it's just dropped onto the floor, so I hit end. I'm going to duplicate it back and up. So we remember it was about 50 units up. And once we've got those, I'll just group it, Control G, duplicate it again. So we've got stairs going all the way up. Just to save time, I'm not going to build out that final platform in the back there. If you want to, you can. I'm just going to have the stairs go all the way to the top. All right, great. Okay, so now that we've got that working, let's add our final prop piece, which was the door and the door frame. So I'll drag a door frame into this area, rotate that into place, and also the door. I'm going to hit F to frame up, rotate that door. I have snapping set to 45. It speeds things up a little bit. And we'll just pull that back. Now, kind of an important part is to get the door frame just the way you want it. Because if you don't size it just correctly, you're going to get stuck going through that entrance. So that's something to make sure you get right. So I've got those both selected. I'm going to scale this out just a bit, and then I'll test it. I'll pause and test it actually. Okay. So I scaled that. The exact scaling that worked well was 1.25 in the width direction. So if you have it locked, that will symmetrically scale everything. Let's just unlock that and you can type in 1.25. Then just make sure you have those both nudged into place in exactly the way you want them. The final thing was when I tested, you can either test from here, right click and hit play from here, or I hit Alt-P usually, but my starting point is actually behind. So let me just move that and that'll wrap it up for this tutorial. So I'm just shift and dragging this into place. And I'm going to rotate the blue arrows so that when we hit play, that's the direction we'll be starting and facing. So great. I think this is a good place to stop. And in the next tutorial, we'll add interactivity.